Barnaby's brilliant buttons. Once upon a time, nestled deep in the Whispering Mountains, lived a little dwarf named Barnaby Boulderboots. Barnaby wasn't the tallest dwarf or the strongest, but he was the best button maker in the whole village of Stonehaven. Barnaby loved buttons more than digging for gems or eating mushroom stew. He made buttons from everything: smooth river stones, shiny, fallen acorn caps, bright, colorful pieces of polished wood. But Barnaby had a problem. He only ever made buttons for himself. His coat had 100 buttons. His hat had buttons. He even put tiny, sparkly buttons on his little dwarf lunch pail. Barnaby, his grandpa, Old Grumbles, would rumble gently, "Why do you keep all the wonderful buttons for yourself?" Barnaby just shrugged his little shoulders. "They're too nice to give away, Grandpa," he'd whisper. "What if someone doesn't think they're special?" One snowy morning, Barnaby was polishing a set of brilliant, sapphire blue buttons. They were his favorite. They sparkled like the winter sky. Suddenly, he heard a sound. Not the clink of a hammer, but a little sniffle. He peeked out his tiny, round window and saw his friend, Flora the flower dwarf, sitting on a stone bench. She was holding her precious gardening apron, and there was a great big rip near the pocket. Flora needed a patch, and the patch needed a button to hold it tight. Barnaby looked at his beautiful sapphire buttons. He thought about keeping them safe in his box. They were so perfect. Then, he looked at Flora's sad face. He took a big, deep breath, reached into his button box, and carefully chose 2 of the best, sparkliest, sapphire blue buttons. He tiptoed outside. "Hello, Flora," he squeaked. Flora looked up, her eyes wet. "My apron tore, Barnaby. I can't keep my best seed packet safe now." Barnaby didn't say a word. He just sat beside her and, with his tiny needle and thread, he helped her mend the rip. Then, he sewed the 2 glorious blue buttons right over the fix. "Now your seeds are safe and sparkling," he said, handing the apron back. Flora's sad face broke into the biggest, brightest smile Barnaby had ever seen. "Oh, Barnaby, these are the most beautiful buttons in all of Stonehaven. Thank you." The 2 sapphire buttons on Flora's apron caught the sunlight and shone all over the village. When Grandpa Grumble saw them, he smiled a wide, warm smile. "Barnaby, my boy," he said, "those buttons looked lovely in your box, but they look wonderful on Flora's apron." Barnaby felt a funny, warm, jiggly feeling in his chest. It felt much better than just having the buttons for himself. He realized the secret. His buttons weren't truly special until they made someone else happy. From that day on, Barnaby Boulderboots still made the best buttons, but he didn't keep them all. He made a bright red apple button for the baker's hat, and a bumpy brown bark button for the tree keeper's jacket. Barnaby learned that the best gifts are the ones we share, because when you share something you love, you don't lose its magic, you double it. And Barnaby's heart? It was now as warm and sparkly as 1,000 sapphire buttons. Sharing something special makes 2 people happy instead of 1.